Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vows to fight forces of evil in his message to Christians worldwide. France's Emmanuel Macron unveils new government, the fourth in the year so far. Parisians set low expectations. US military says it conducts airstrike in Syria, killing 2 ISIS operatives. And the Indian government launches key initiatives on National Consumer Day in New Delhi. Theme is virtual hearings and digital access to consumer justice. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu emphasized unity among Israelis in defending their nation against those who seek its destruction. In his Christmas message, Netanyahu stated that Israel stands at the forefront of the global fight against forces of evil and tyranny.
Of Israel are united in defending our nation against those bent on our destruction. We seek peace with all those who wish peace with us. But we will do whatever is necessary to defend the one and only Jewish state, the repository and the source of our common heritage. Israel leads the world in fighting the forces of evil and tyranny, but our battle is not yet over. With your support and with God's help, I assure you, we shall prevail.
Meanwhile, Netanyahu is set to testify in his long-running corruption trial on Tuesday under a court order that could force him to juggle between the courtroom and the war room for weeks. Earlier, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu signalled that certain progress had been achieved in the ongoing hostage talks with Hamas, but did not specify how long it would take to see the results. During a speech in Israel's Knesset, Netanyahu said that Israel had made great achievements militarily on several fronts and that military pressure on Hamas had led its leaders to soften their previous demands. In recent days, indirect negotiations between Israel and Hamas, mediated by Qatar, Egypt and the United States, took place in Doha, rekindling hope of an agreement that has proven elusive.
I want to tell you cautiously that there is a certain progress, and this certain progress is due to 3 main reasons. There is progress, I don't know how long it will take. We will continue to operate in any way and without a pause until we bring them all back home from the enemy's land. We do not take our eyes off Iran, that is threatening to eliminate us, and we are determined to stop Iran from reaching nuclear weapon as well as other weapons that could threaten our cities.
Also on Tuesday, Israel successfully intercepted a missile launched from Yemen, marking a significant escalation in the ongoing regional tensions. As per Israeli military, sirens were heard in several areas in central Israel following the launch of a projectile from Yemen. The missile was neutralized before crossing into Israeli territory. Israeli defense officials confirmed that no damage or injuries were reported following the interception. The attack underscores the growing involvement of Yemen in the wider West Asia conflict. For the first time, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz publicly acknowledged the assassination of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in Iran in July. The move might escalate tensions between Tehran and Israel in a region already rocked by Israel's conflict with Hamas and Hezbollah. Warning Houthis, Katz also said that Israeli troops would also decapitate the leadership of Houthi rebels. Until now, Israel had never admitted to killing Haniyeh, but Iran and Hamas had blamed it for the Hamas political leader's death. Haniyeh was killed in a guest house in Tehran on July 31st. Israel has also allegedly killed Nasrallah in a Beirut bombing on September 27th, which was followed by the killing of Haniyeh's successor Sinwar on October 16th.
These days, when the Houthi terrorist organization is firing missiles at Israel, I want to convey a clear message to them at the beginning of my remarks. We have defeated Hamas, we have won over Hezbollah, we have blinded Iran's defense systems and damaged the production systems, we have toppled the Assad regime in Syria, we have dealt a severe blow to the axis of evil, and we will also deal a severe blow to the Houthi terrorist organization in Yemen, which remains the last to stand and fire at Israel. We will damage its strategic infrastructure and we will behead its leaders, just as we did to Haniyeh, Sinwar, and Nasrallah in Tehran, Gaza, and Lebanon. We will do it in Hodeidah and Sana'a. Whoever will raise his hand to Israel, his hand will be severed. The IDF's long arm will harm him and will settle the score.
The US military announced on Monday that it had carried out an airstrike in Syria, killing 2 Islamic State operatives and injuring another. According to US Central Command, the operatives were transporting a truckload of weapons in Syria's Deir az-Zar province when the airstrike was conducted. The area was previously controlled by the Syrian government and Russian forces. At least 12 people were killed and 3 others injured in an explosion at an explosives factory in northwest Turkey. According to local media reports, the blast occurred in Balıkesir province. The governor confirmed that there was no indication of sabotage. Authorities are investigating the cause of the incident. A Russian cargo ship sank in the Mediterranean Sea between Spain and Algeria on Tuesday, leaving 2 crew members missing. According to the Russian Foreign Ministry, the vessel sank following an engine room explosion. 14 of the 16 crew members were rescued and taken to Spain. Moving on to the United States, where President-elect Donald Trump is planning to pull Washington out of the World Health Organization on day 1 of his second administration. It is one of the many things he promises to execute on January 20th. Though this won't be the first time Trump has tried to lead a US exit from the World Health Organization. In 2020, Trump began the process of leaving the organization amid the spread of COVID-19. At that time, he accused the WHO of being controlled by Beijing and criticized its handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. He sent a 4-page letter to the WHO director, suspending funds and initiating the withdrawal process.
WHO, World Health, and they misled us. I don't know. They must have known more than they knew, because they came after what other people knew that weren't even involved. We knew things that they didn't know, and either they didn't know or they didn't tell us, or right now they're literally a pipe organ for China. That's the way I view it.
Trump has nominated several critics of the organization to top public health positions, including Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a vaccine skeptic who is up for the post of Secretary of Health and Human Services, which oversees all major U.S. health agencies, including the CDC and FDA. At a press briefing on December 10th, WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said that WHO will be giving time and space for the transition to the new government in the U.S. Further, Trump's consistent backing of TikTok has fueled speculation about possible solutions to prevent the app from being banned in the United States. As the future of the Chinese app remains uncertain, Trump says he has a warm spot in his heart for TikTok.
US President-elect Donald Trump's repeated support for TikTok has sparked speculation about potential solutions to prevent the app's impending ban in the United States. Trump credits the wildly popular platform with delivering him a large young user base. He opposes banning TikTok also because he believes it would primarily benefit Instagram and Facebook. Congress overwhelmingly passed legislation in April that would block TikTok unless Beijing-based ByteDance sells its stake by January 19. US lawmakers grew wary in the potential of the Chinese government to influence ByteDance or access the data of TikTok's American users. Even with Trump's decisive election victory, preventing the ban faces significant hurdles. The law enjoyed rare bipartisan support in Washington, making its outright repeal through the vote in Congress politically unlikely. TikTok has appealed to the Supreme Court, arguing the law violates First Amendment rights to free speech. The court is dominated by Trump-aligned conservatives. It will hear the case on January 10th, 9 days before the ban takes effect. Another possibility is that the Department of Justice could determine ByteDance has addressed the law's national security concerns or not. The final option is ByteDance selling to a non-Chinese buyer. As precedent, Trump could extend the ban deadline by 90 days to facilitate the transaction. This isn't the first attempt to resolve TikTok's US status. In 2020, Trump also threatened a ban unless ByteDance sold its US operations. Bureau Report, DD India.
Meanwhile, the outgoing Biden administration announced on Monday that it has launched an investigation into China's semiconductor policies, citing concerns over Beijing's use of extensive, anti-competitive and non-market means to disrupt global economies. The probe will focus on foundational semiconductors, critical components used in products like cars and medical devices. The investigation aims to determine whether China's actions are creating barriers for American businesses. The United States, the United Kingdom and the European Union on Monday criticized Pakistan's military courts for sentencing 25 civilians in connection with attacks on military facilities following the 2023 arrest of former Prime Minister Imran Khan. According to US State Department, Washington is, quote, deeply concerned that Pakistani civilians have been sentenced by a military tribunal for their involvement in protests on May 9, 2023, unquote. The British government's Foreign Office added that trying civilians in military courts lacks transparency, independent scrutiny and undermines the right to a fair trial. The European Union, on its part, stated that the sentences were inconsistent with the obligations that Pakistan has undertaken under the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. The civilians received sentences ranging from 2 to 10 years, raising concerns among Khan's supporters about the growing role of military courts in cases linked to the former leader. And next, we take a look at other stories making news around the world. Protests erupted in Mozambique after the country's top court announced the ruling party Frelimo as winner of the October elections. So far, 130 people have been killed in these protests. Frelimo's victory has fueled rage in people already troubled by its rule, and it is likely to spark more violent protests in the coming days. 50 years after the abolition of monarchy, Greece has granted citizenship to the former royal family, the descendants of the late King Constantine. Welcoming the decision, the former royal family has pledged loyalty to the Republic. The family had become stateless in 1994 when King Constantine was stripped of his citizenship. Bethlehem's Church of Nativity made the final preparations for Christmas celebrations with the Manger Square readied in simplicity for the Christmas Eve. Known for its lighting decorations and a giant Christmas tree, the church has been observing simple observations since last year due to the ongoing conflict. NASA's Parker Solar Probe is making history with its closest ever approach to the Sun, diving into the star's outer atmosphere. The spacecraft is out of contact during this daring flyby, and scientists are waiting for a signal on December 28th to confirm its survival. The mission aims to uncover the mysteries of the Sun, the Sun's corona and solar wind, helping scientists better understand space weather and its impact on Earth. Scientists are eagerly awaiting a signal to confirm its success. You're watching DD India Live, still to come on the show. Somber scenes in Germany's Magdeburg after government probes possible security lapses in market attack. India bids adieu to the pioneer of parallel cinema. Last rites of Shyam Benegal held with full state honours in Mumbai. And on Christmas Eve, Santa Claus takes a swim with penguins in Japan.
Age of artificial intelligence. New strides in semiconductors. Pushing the frontiers of space. Watch Reflections 2024, Science, Technology and Space, only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I am Tanvi Taneja. India is celebrating National Consumer Day today, a day highlighting the importance of the consumer movement, and the day spreads awareness about consumer rights and responsibilities. Minister for Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution Prahlad Joshi shared a video message reaffirming the government's commitment to ensuring consumer rights and highlighting initiatives like the Consumer Protection Act 2019.
The government of India is not only focusing on the consumers' protection, but also consumers' prosperity. India currently is the fifth largest economy in the world and the fourth largest consumers market, providing the ample of opportunities for the consumer-based economy. The Consumer Act 2019 marked a transformative milestone in India's consumer protection framework.
The theme of this year's National Consumer Day is virtual hearings and digital access to consumer justice. DD India's Deepika Mehto takes you through the significance of this day, historical facts, and what are the major initiatives launched this year to protect the rights of the consumers. Take a look.
24th December is observed as National Consumer Day every year across India with an aim to empower, enlighten and understand the changing consumer pattern of the country. Be it online consumers or offline, India boasts a thick share of consumers around the world. Interestingly, it was the Consumer Protection Act in the year 1986 that received the presidential assent and was enacted. The law then came into effect to safeguard the interests and rights of the consumers, ensuring that they are protected against unfair trade practices, fraud and exploitation. In the year 2024, the Consumer Day is being celebrated with the theme Virtual Hearings and Digital Access to Consumer Justice. The theme corresponds with the objectives of the new Consumer Protection Act 2019 that is aimed at providing speedy, cost-effective and hassle-free justice to the consumers. The amended Act highlights the importance of digital medium and tools in ensuring that consumers can access justice in an increasingly online world. And on the occasion, the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution and Minister of New and Renewable Energy launched various key initiatives on the National Consumer Day for the protection of consumer rights. Some of the highlights are signing of safety pledge by major e-commerce platforms, which is a voluntary commitment for ensuring consumer safety. Launch of Jago Grahak Jago app, Jagriti app and Jagriti dashboard to protect consumers from the dark pattern. Launch of e-map portal for all services legal metrology services. Dedication of software testing facility for weighing and measuring instrument. With such initiatives, the government keeps on emphasizing on the consumer rights and the protection of those rights as well. At the same time, it is also important for the consumers to be educated about these rights and practice them in their daily lives. Deepika's report for DD India.
Legendary filmmaker and Dada Saheb Phalke Award winner Shyam Benegal passed away at the age of 90. The director took his last breath in Mumbai Monday night and was cremated with full state honours on Tuesday. The film fraternity and his close friends came together to mourn the loss of the pioneer of what is called the Indian New Wave movement. Diptanshu Kashyap brings us more.
A pioneer of parallel cinema in India, Shyam Benegal is considered one of the greatest filmmakers since the 1970s. Born on December 14, 1934 in Hyderabad, Benegal began his career in copywriting before transitioning to filmmaking, creating numerous commercials, corporate films and documentaries. A cousin of legendary Hindi actor filmmaker Guru Dutt and an admirer of Bengali director Satyajit Ray, Benegal made his directorial debut with Ankur. The film, which means the seedling, literally sprouted a series of impeccable masterpieces like Nishant, Manthan, Bhumika, Junoon, The Making of Mahatma and Bose, The Forgotten Hero. His final film, Mujib, The Making of a Nation, focused on the founder of Bangladesh, Mujibur Rahman. Benegal also helped launch the careers of many actors. To this day, Manthan remains an evergreen classic with its rich cinematography and stirring song, which is also a fine example of crowd-funded movies. In addition to his film work, Benegal is renowned for his television contributions, with the most notable being Bharat Ek Khoj, an adaptation of Jawaharlal Nehru's The Discovery of India. He also directed Samvidhan, a mini-series about the making of India's constitution. Benegal has received numerous accolades, including National Film Awards and the prestigious Dada Saheb Phalke Award in 2007. His national honours include the Padma Shri in 1976 and Padma Bhushan in 1991. He also served as a faculty member at the Film and Television Institute of India in Pune. His filmmaking legacy continues to inspire future generations of filmmakers, and his films continue to resonate with the society. Diptanshu Kashyap's report for DD India.
On to France now. French President Emmanuel Macron unveiled a new government on Monday, aiming to navigate another vote of no confidence in a deeply divided parliament. This marks France's fourth government this year, featuring a mix of former ministers and senior civil servants.
I don't expect anything from this new government because it's clear that the further things go, the more catastrophic they become. I don't see it unless there's a magic wand.
It's always the Macronists and the Republicans. They haven't included the others. The socialists are not part of it. So for me, it lacks a mix. The mix is the whole of France. It's not just the left, the right, it's all the French people.
The new government, led by François Bayrou, will focus on drafting a 2025 budget and tackling France's budget deficit, which is expected to hit 6% of GDP this year. This is well above the EU's 3% target for member states. A new pro-European coalition government by Social Democrat Prime Minister Marcel Ciarlacou was sworn in on Monday after winning parliamentary confidence vote. The new cabinet approved the coalition government with 240 deputies voting in favour and 143 against. The southeastern European country has been in crisis after the country's top court annulled the presidential elections earlier this month amid claims of Russian interference. Germany is investigating possible security lapses after a man drove his car into a Christmas market, killing at least 5 people. The incident has raised fresh concerns about security and immigration ahead of February's snap election. Authorities are still trying to determine the motive of the suspect, a 50-year-old psychiatrist from Saudi Arabia identified as Talib A. Meanwhile, 3,500 people attended a rally by the anti-migrant AFD in Magdeburg, Magdeburg's Cathedral Square on Monday night. Federal Interior Minister Nancy Faeser called for stricter internal security measures. The 27-country bloc, that is the European Union, has trade agreements around the world. But there's one country it has just signed one with this past weekend. Switzerland, of all countries, lies at the heart of Europe, but it is not a member of the EU. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin now. Lars, what can you tell us about this new trade agreement?
Thanks for having me. Well, I got to tell you that I too was surprised that there hadn't been a trade agreement between Switzerland and the EU so far. Switzerland has 4 neighboring countries, that's Germany, France, Austria and Italy, that are all EU members. And then there's a 5th neighbor, tiny Liechtenstein, that is at least part of the single market, the European Economic Area. In fact, a person in Zurich has to travel over 600 kilometers to even get to the next non-EU country, which would be Bosnia-Herzegovina or Britain, depending on what direction you want to take. It is obvious, given the geographic location of Switzerland, that almost all of its trade is with the EU. And for decades, bilateral agreements had been regulating that trade. They had all been focusing on separate business sectors. And since they are now running out, many in Switzerland were in fact anxious to get an all-encompassing trade agreement in place so as to secure the trade partnership for the future.
So, Lars, what is in fact the main trade between Switzerland and the EU?
Interesting question. Indeed, there's a lot more to Switzerland than watches and chocolate, even though these 2 items are obviously also part of the trade between the country and its partners. Among the most important trade sectors for Switzerland is chemicals and pharmaceuticals. Trade, their total trade goes around 65 billion euros with the European Union. That's almost half of the EU's entire trade in that sector. And then there's machinery and appliances, optical and photographic instruments, as well as precious metals. Now, Switzerland is also a very important partner of the EU for trade in services, in particular, of course, for commercial services, and that includes banking that adds over 225 billion euros to the total. So we're talking about a really important partnership.
Thank you, Lars. Lars Holter reporting from DW Berlin. And now we bring you Christmas festivities from around the world. So as Christmas Eve approaches, the iconic landmarks and shopping destinations of Dubai have transformed into winter wonderlands, offering a unique blend of West Asian hospitality and festive cheer. From towering Christmas trees to magical parades, Dubai is celebrating the holiday season like never before. At Wafi City, a 52-foot Christmas tree anchors a festive circus, with families enjoying live music and Santa's grotto. As night falls, Dubai's twinkling lights and festive treats create a magical atmosphere, celebrating global traditions with a local twist. And to bring excitement to the celebrations, Santa Claus swam with penguins in Japan. A diver wearing a blue Santa Claus costume was seen inside the Penguins in the Sky tank, swimming with African penguins at the Sunshine Aquarium in Tokyo. That's it in this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And for those on the go, you can catch all the latest news and updates from India and the world on our DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.